This show is about spirituality, and I wasn't able to introduce the topic because we just pressed record and just started talking. So today's topic is about spirituality, and I brought in Suzlynn Bruton, who was also on my very first podcast show about self-love, and also she's on another one about anxiety and depression, so go back and listen to those. So spirituality, I found two meanings for that word. The first one says, in general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, and it typically involves a search for meaning in life. And the other definition I found says, an individual practice having to do more with a sense of peace and purpose. It also relates to the process of developing beliefs around the meaning of life and connection with others. So we tackle this topic among other things. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you for being here. Hi, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Just give me my space to move. It's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I want.
I think these are really great topics to talk about because this gives people direction and guidance. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, whether they know God or, thinking about him or whatever it is, it gives them an idea like, okay, this is what it's about. Like, it's not like I just get up and I just walk and I go about my day. Actually, no, there's things that you do just like you do on your job. But I was thinking today, how, as I was thinking about this podcast and what we were going to talk about today, I was thinking, God, we need to do, a podcast on faith, because I have so much information that I learned through so many years, because I think a lot of people don't understand that. And it's something that everybody needs right now. Mm-hmm. It's something we all can. I don't care what walk of life you're in. Everybody can relate to faith right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you didn't believe, you somewhere you're believing now, because COVID has affected everybody. Mm-hmm. And I know we're talking about, spiritual warfare. I mean, you picked up something you said online. You opened your Bible. Read that to me. Tell me what you was getting from that.
So, today I wanted to bring Suzlynn on because I know she's one of those people that is very, very spiritual and listens to God and speaks to God, and I'm growing in my faith. And so today I'm like, I knew I wanted to talk about spirituality, had zero clue what I wanted to talk about. But I prayed this morning, and then I opened my Bible, and my devotional, my Bible has a devotional within it. And I opened it to Zechariah. Am I saying that right? Zechariah. And pretty much at that time, people were not listening to God. They were doing their own thing. He wanted them to, it's Zechariah 7:13. He basically wanted them to love each other and be kind to each other, and everything that we all know that God wants us to do. And in 7:13 it says, when I called, they did not listen. So when they called, I would not listen, says the Lord Almighty. So I feel like that's what we're going through right now.
Ooh, it's
a shit show out there. It's a shit show because we're doing whatever the hell we want and not being kind to each other. And then in chapter 8, verse 16, these are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Sorry, I skipped a line. These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Do not plot evil against your neighbor. That's going into verse 17. And do not love to swear falsely. I hate all this, declares the Lord. And we're just doing whatever we want. And so that's why we're seeing all of this hate and all of this turmoil. And we're wondering what's going on and what's wrong. And And so in my devotional, she breaks it down, or, whoever is breaking it down in my devotional, I'm assuming it's a female. It says the word of God is the framework from which we listen. When we know it and absorb it, it is dynamic and living. Scripture intersects with our thoughts, feelings, and spirit. We create an open space for that to happen by dedicating time and attention to study and prayer. And you sent me something this morning about prayer. So what was that?
Well, first, before I touch on that, because I want to touch back on the scripture that you just talked about on, everybody doing their own thing right now. It's like history repeating itself. And because that's really what's happening. This is a time more than ever. And I tell people, COVID is testing the heart of people. This really is showing you who you really are. And you have no excuses, because God's eliminating excuses. He actually has redeemed the hand of time. Like, time has literally stopped, and there's no excuses anymore. And what you were talking about, how, he tells us, to love one another. I'm gonna give you a prime example. You and your husband, and I hope you don't mind me, I'm not gonna go into detail, but you all, shared, y'all helped me in a way concerning my teeth. But it opened up the door, just so y'all know, the obedience of what y'all did for me opened up the door for me to be obedient to what God had me to do. So it's a domino effect. And this is a prime example of what we're talking about with love, because love is something that you don't think about what's on your table. You think about the other person. You already know God's going to supply your need. And right now, one of the biggest things people are thinking about is my family, my household, what my kids are eating. That's selfish.
Yep.
God's selfless.
Yep.
And this is the best time to show God in a dark place, because we're in a dark place right now. I say that to say, I was driving one day and I was coming down Highway 6 with one of my friends. And all of a sudden, I saw this guy's back to me, and he was talking to somebody on the other. I couldn't even see his face, on the other side of the underneath this bridge that we were passing by. And my spirit was just like, do, 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 do. I mean, it was like right to it. And I knew God wanted me to go down there and speak to those people. I thought it was two men. And so I waited for about a week, and it kept tugging on me and tugging on me. And so the Lord had me go down. I had washed this coat that I had, and I no longer needed it. And he had me take these. I couldn't understand, because it was men. Why am I taking women's clothes down here? But the Lord had me bag up all these women's clothes, this jacket. And right at the last minute, he had me like dump all these different things, snacks. And then I got a blanket, and a pillow, and just stuff. I was thinking, this is really odd. But I was just like, I trust God. So I go down there. I told my friend, will do it. Anything I say, the Lord said, he's like, all right, I'm going to go with you. He's like, I already know, because I've already watched you. And I know if God told you, it's the truth. So we go down there. It's just so phenomenal. I always tell him, watch me, because when you're going out into the street, and when I say the street, when you're dealing with homeless people and addicts and prostitutes and drug dealers, you're dealing with a whole different type of people. And you have to really know how to minister to these people. So I told him, I said, just sit in the car, just watch how God works. And so he sits in the car, take the bag over, and I have no idea who I'm looking for. I go over there underneath this bridge, and there's 3 tents. Chris, so funny. I can't even make this stuff
And you had
up.
no idea what you were walking into?
I have no idea, but let me show you how this has to do with love. I go over and I said, sir. I don't even know who's over there. Sir. And I'm keep saying, sir, because I know somebody's coming out that tent, because the Lord told me somebody's over there. And so he comes out, and I said, can I talk to you for a second? And he come out so nice. He reminded me of my cousin's husband. And I said, I saw you over here about a week ago. And I said, the Lord wanted me to come down here to give you these things. And he said, man, thank you so much. And I said, man, it's so crazy. I said, because I was sitting here, and I was thinking about all the stuff y'all needed. And I said, the Lord had me bring these women's clothes down here. I didn't see a woman down here. He said, actually, I have a girlfriend that lives right here in this tent. I said, man, quit it. I said, what size is she? Come to find out, the woman is, she's about the size as I am. So I'm talking to him and stuff. So she comes out, and all of a sudden, like, my spirit is so drawn to this woman. And so, she's talking. I can already see some of the issues the Lord is telling me. She's not really telling me anything, but I could see what was going on, within her spirit, the addictions and stuff. And so she was real short. She didn't really do a lot of talking. He did a lot of talking. So I said, what are y'all in need of? And he said, really, we're in need of toiletries. And I said, let me show you when you do things in love and you do things in obedience. And he said, we need toiletries. I got in the car. Now, I didn't have a lot, but I don't care what I have, because if God tells me to do it, I can have $5 in the bank, and that $5 is going towards them.
Mm-hmm.
I got in the car and I said, Kurt, I got to go buy these toiletries. I'm going to go buy them a whole bunch of stuff. He turns around. This is no lie. He turns around and says, the Lord had laid on my heart. This is why I tell you, obedience is better than sacrifice. He said, man, the Lord laid on my heart to give you $100 today. I said, what? I said, oh, went there, got all my stuff that I needed. I spent almost all that on them. And I took it down there to him. And the Lord, right before I had went down there, the Lord said, buy that girl. I don't even know her. Buy that girl a birthday gift. She's never had a birthday gift. Come to find out, it was a whole family down there. So I go to the 99-cent store. To make a long story short, the Lord kept telling me she was like 33 years old. The Lord said she's a little girl on the inside, and that she likes to color, and that she likes puzzles and reading. Let me show you how good God is. This is why I say when you do things in love, it's just 100. It's beautiful. So I go down there and I bring him all the stuff, and he said, man, thank you so much. And when he's talking, I see the word LIGHT go across his chest. And I said, the Lord said, you got a lot of light in you, which means you have a lot of truth. And he looked at me. He said, man, that's crazy. He said, you have, you read people very well. And then he turned around and he said, you have it's like a gift of discernment or something. This is a homeless man. I would never even be thinking that he thinks like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, it's funny. I said, because when you're talking, you're very smart. I see these equations going around you. And he said, man, you know what's crazy? I used to have this cup that has equations on them. He was like, man, I love that kind of stuff. He was about to cry. He said, I'm about to cry. I said, let me tell you something. I said, your girlfriend, I said, the Lord had me buy her a birthday gift. And he said that she, I said, it's weird. I don't know, maybe you can help me. I said, but he told me she likes coloring. He looked at me and he said, you got to be kidding me. She loves coloring. I said, get out of here.
Wow.
The Lord told me to continue to help these people every week over the next, 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and bring food down to them. Whether it's like today, we're going to go down there and take some of the things that they love, not what I want them to have, but what they asked for. Like when I was talking to him, I was just asking them questions. He likes honey buns and Oreos, and that's not my food, but I'm bringing love to them. Mm-hmm. So until they trust you, love comes down, and love gives. It opens the door for everything. I say all
and
that
it's not selfish either.
It's not selfish. Yeah. Look at me. I told him I'm a single mom. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I'm obedient to what God tells me to do. I don't care what is mine is his. So whatever he tells me to do, I don't care. I've taken earrings out of my ears that somebody has given me, diamond earrings, and the Lord told me to give them to somebody. And I'm telling you, they weren't cheap. I gave them away because it means nothing to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you love people, you know how I feel about people. Yeah. I love people. And when I see people like that, and I guess...
Did he tell you guys, did he tell you his story as to why they're homeless? Or did you not get into that yet?
Slowly.
Okay.
Because what I'm seeing is, I already knew they're both addicts, but he said, I hadn't always been out here like this. I sat down there for an hour and a half talking to him. And he said, I actually, used to have money. I've been out here for a year. And he said, my girlfriend has, a child, and she had a husband, and I already knew only thing that can steal something away from you like that is drugs. Mm-hmm. But it's okay because I'm after those type of people. Those are the people that I love to go after, because let me tell you what I did at the end is right at the end, my friend finally came over and talked to him, and he kind of dapped him or whatever, shook his hand. but I was going to just shake his hand, but the Lord said, no, hug him, because he needs it. Like, he needs to feel human again. Now, to him, he might have felt so dirty because I heard some of the stuff he talked about, but I don't care. Man, I hugged that man, and it was life-changing for me, because his hug was like, it was like he said, his whole body leaned up against me, and he had that, like, man, I haven't had this in probably ever. And then it's like he gave me that feel like, you see me and you don't care that I'm dirty. And I'm thinking in my mind, when I left there, I felt so emotional, was, who's to say I'm not dirty because I look clean?
Exactly. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So when we're talking about spiritual warfare and we're talking about love, I began it, and I'm continuing praying for them, because that is a spiritual warfare, because, the devil is after them, and if they don't get help from people like us, that they'll be taken out. They'll die. They will die on those streets. They will. Because if a person does not go out there, because God uses us people to go out and help people, but you got to be led, because if not, they're not going to receive you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He received me because it was the God in me, because I was like, man, what's up? What do y'all need? What do y'all need us?
Well, also, in order to be led, you have to have some kind of, you have to know when to listen. And not all of us do that. So some people are like, oh, well, she has that gift. And how were you led to that? Yeah, because we sit quietly with prayer. We sit quietly with God, and he leads us to do things. When you're just going about your day and just thinking about yourself, you're never going to be led to do anything like that. I mean,
well, and too, I think one of the things, and I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram, was where I talked about pain changes everything. If you're in a painful situation, some of my greatest growths were in pain.
Amen.
It's
Same,
crazy. And
same.
I hate to even think like that, but for real, I started looking at the blessing and the lesson out of that, because some of my greatest changes, oh my God, my greatest growths were in pain.
Same.
Pain will cause you to pray. If pain and prayer don't go hand in hand, something's wrong. And it made me want to listen. It taught me how to listen. Like one of the things that I'm teaching Kurt, my client, is how to listen, because he ministers to women. I said, listening is not just this. Listening is your heart. It's your spirit. It's all connected. It's a heart thing, because everything God does, man looks for things outwardly. Yeah. God, everything is inwardly. Yeah. It's an internal thing. That's why you cannot dress this up. The dress up is on the inside. It's within. You got to clean it up on the inside. So if you can't listen and you're just all about, well, what he can do for me, you've missed it. It'd be like you being in a relationship, with your husband and saying it's all about whatever he can do for me. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's selfish. You know what I mean? Because it's an exchange, one thing for another. And prayer is an exchange from God. It's communication. It's no different than me and you. I mean, sometimes I sit around and I'm like, Lord, what do you think about this situation? What do you think about me going down here and, doing this? Because I already have in my mind our next people that we're going to help underneath the bridge down on the other end of town. I already know that's our next thing. I always call them assignments.
So as we were recording, we were talking for I don't know how long. And when I looked, it wasn't recording anymore. So we don't even know where we left off, what was said. Anyways, we're going to continue, and you're going to just hear me freaking out. Because, it's never happened before. So someone's trying to shut us up. Don't know who that is, but we're going to keep talking, and we're going to get into spirituality versus religion and our take on that. Keep listening. So we're recording, right? And something happened to my recording machine where it just stopped recording. So we've been talking for I don't know how long, and it hasn't been recording. Yeah. So I don't know when it cut off, but okay, go ahead. So that's what just happened right now.
So with that being, we've been talking for at least 30 minutes easy.
Yeah. So it caught the first part, and then I don't know what happened. Oh my God.
And we were talking on spiritual warfare, and this is a prime example of what happens. because the enemy tries to
Wow.
intercept anything that's going to come forth, that's going to be, like a tool for God
Yeah.
and God's believers. He tries to intercept it.
Every
This
time.
gives me a prime example of why I didn't even think about it, because we
Wow.
get on here and talk so much of just praying against stuff like that. And that's a prime example, because that's an example of warfare where they intercept
No, it's
it.
true. Or when something positive and awesome is happening, like Philip and I talk about it all the time. Like when things are going well, we know, be ready. Like when our marriage is strong and we're communicating and we're on it and the business is thriving, we
Yep.
know that something's coming, and we know, but we're aware so that when it does come, we know how to handle it. Okay, this is just
Yeah.
temporary. He wants us, the devil and the enemy wants us to stray and be consumed with this and forget how blessed we are. So that
And those
just
are
gave me
distractions.
goosebumps that we were just talking and it just
but you know what? I always say God either does it or he allows it, but there's
Yeah.
purpose in both. That is
Yeah.
a prime example of spiritual warfare, why you have to pray against stuff like that. When you go on the air, that there's no interceptions, there's no distractions. You know what I'm saying? That everything that God wants to come forth comes forth, because if not, just understand the enemy's got a plan and God has a plan too.
Yeah.
We're at war. And that's a prime example of spiritual warfare. Everybody's on the scene. It's a matter of who's going to actually win. You know what I mean? So you're going to allow the distraction of it, or you're going to pray against it, because prayer is your weapon. But you got to believe in your prayer too. You can't just, oh well, Lord,
That's
I hope
so
that
true.
maybe one day. No,
Yeah.
like just like you believe in your marriage, just like you believe
You have
in
to
yourself.
believe it in your soul.
Oh yeah, because think about it. You and Philip, y'all been tried and tested in your marriage.
Yes.
So there are certain things
Yes.
off the top that you know for a fact that you believe, that you believe, that you believe. This is God's, covenant. This is, his marriage. We committed it to him. So the same thing that you believe in your marriage is the same thing that you should believe with your prayer. Because if you sit up here, please don't think when I pray, I don't think I'm not going to get the result. I expect the result. I don't even think it. I expect it. So I'm going to keep going on, because my faith allows me to keep moving forward. He said, never seen the righteous forsaken, nor a seed begging for bread. I don't go back and say, well, Lord, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? No, I believed him the first time, so I don't have to keep praying for it.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
And also you can't be impatient either, because it's like, well, you expect it to fall out of the sky right now. We're going to get it right now. No, sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes years before you get it answered, because it's not the right timing. But it happens. I mean, I've seen it in my life. So let's break it down. I have some questions. So spirituality, what does that mean to you? Where are you on your quest? Like, what does that mean when people say I'm spiritual versus I'm religious? What do you think about that?
Okay. For me, from my perspective, religious, because I'm not religious. I'm all about spiritual. To me, is more of a relationship. A one-on-one relationship.
And that's exactly the definition that I looked at.
It's like called out and called into a personal relationship with God. It's like literally like dating God, truly like in a relationship with him every day, all day. It's not a seasonal thing. It's actually
it's not like, oh, I'm not gonna pray just at night. It's like a daily thing. I'm driving, I'm talking. I'm talking. I'm in the shower, I'm talking. Yeah.
And with religion, I feel, and this is from my perspective, I feel that it's in four walls. I think it's limited. I think that there needs to be a lot more. It's more surface to me.
Yes.
And spiritual is more deep.
Yes.
It's like God calling you out into the deep. And I believe religion is like the shore to me.
Yeah.
I'm a deep diver, so I'm not about
just because you're religious doesn't mean you're spiritual. Like you can fake it on the outside, like I'm going to church and I'm, spouting whatever, but you may not have that relationship, that internal connection with God. I
think most people that are religious do things out of habit.
Yeah, and out of tradition and ritual.
Yeah, and they do it to, some people do it to feel good. They use repent, as a everyday thing. I'm gonna go out, do this, come back and do. I don't do that. I hold myself accountable in my relationship with God. I own my decisions. I own the things that I do. I know that I'm not perfect, but I know he perfects the things that concern me. So I pass those on to him. I'm honest with him. One thing is I'm honest with God. I'm like, I messed up, help me. Now I don't talk. I used to talk hard to myself. I was hard on myself. Now I'm like, Lord, teach me how to overcome this place and give me the courage and faith to get through it. And also give me the lesson and the wisdom out of this situation so that I can help other people. Use my situation as a lesson. So I think for me, spiritual is really big. It's like a love relationship for me. And I'm not saying religion cannot be. I'm just saying for me, I had to come out of four walls. I needed to dive deeper. I needed to be in an intimate relationship with God, one-on-one, with just me and him, kind of like the disciples. Like I needed to be taught by God because there were so many things that were tangled up that I didn't understand. And my spirit was not agreeing with some of the surface things. And I think it was just the understanding, because a lot of people can read the word and you can read a scripture and I can say, well, that's not what I got from that. Because I dive deeper and I'm thinking, you may say Adam and Eve is an actual place, and I may say that it's symbolic. I may say that's your mind. That's where seeds are planted. That's where seeds grow. That's where seeds are harvested. This is where God, deals with you. Where did man fall at? Man fell in his mind, because the mind is the battlefield. So see, we have different understandings, but it's not to say yours is wrong. I'm just here to share my truth. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, on the spiritual level, I think it's something that you don't pick up on Sunday or Wednesday, or it's a part of who you are. It's just who you are. It's what you do. I don't have to dress up for it. I can be me. I can actually be who I am, and I'm okay with that.
So we've had another interruption. It's never happened where I'm having issues with recording, but it just seems talking about spirituality is just the energy in the world is just not wanting us to talk about it. I don't know, but continue to listen. We tackle why we believe what we believe. I get very emotional at some parts. I actually start crying. We talk about our prayer life and how we get through this life. We talk about faith, speaking to God, being prophetic, and not letting outside voices deter us from what we were meant to do. And we talk a little bit about what's been happening in our country. And yeah, keep on listening. No interruptions are going to hold us back. It's saying that the Zoom call is going to end in 10 minutes and I need to upgrade. What the hell is happening?
I'm telling you,
my
this is an example of spiritual warfare. I promise you, this is what it looks like. Well, the thing about it is, this is a prime example of what I call spiritual warfare, because everybody has a different view of it. Things start going wrong, things start happening, and this is why God made sure that we didn't go to that appointment today, because it needed to be talked about.
Because everything is happening right now.
Well, I mean, while you're fixing that, it's no different than, something coming up against you and, Philip in your marriage and stuff like that. That's called, spiritual warfare. There is a war going on both sides. It's a matter of whose side you want to be on, because, and when I was looking up this, I had wrote this down. It says war is a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. It's an intense battle. It's violent. It's aggressive. It's destructive. And using regular or irregular military forces, which means, the Lord said, trained in the art of war. So if you're not trained in the art of prayer, you definitely aren't going to be. He'll chew you up and spit you out. That's why I tell people, Paul I know, Jesus I know, and Suzlynn I know also. He already know my name. I'm already. I'm skilled in the art of this. This is because I've been through experiences with God, and my whole thing is making sure I get everything that I need to get, because once you learn how to do something, you can pass it on. Those are called the overcomers. You have to overcome situations. And y'all know, of all people, you and Philip have walked with me for a very long time. I have been through some of the craziest things in life. And I always used to be like, man, this is crazy, some of this stuff. But it's not crazy now, because now I understand, because being trained to do something, you have to be trained. This is not just something like, oh, Lord, thank you for, my food. No. You got, I bind it up in the name of Jesus, Lord, I come for it. I'll give you a prime example. We was at Ross yesterday, and this woman was, I always say, they may look like, talk like, walk like, but they're not him. So they can look 99% like him, and they still not him. And this woman it's just weird. She just kept following us around, like she was following around like a little demon devil. That's how it reminded me.
So just walking behind you? She works there?
She was acting like she was putting up stuff. And she said, yeah, you know that, she said, we need to prepare, for, all this COVID and stuff. And all of a sudden I kept feeling, it was like a rush of fear that was trying to come towards me from her. And I said, sweetheart, we don't operate by the world system. I operate under a different system. I operate under God's system. And I said, I don't do the fear thing. I said, we walk by faith, and we actually, in this time, more than ever, we help one another. I said, because that's going to be the only thing that's going to get us all up out of this. And she said, well, and I walked off and let Kurt said, you are funny.
What was she trying to say? Like,
she was trying to say, just basically take care of you and your family, like prepare for, whatever is to come. And I said, sweetheart, I don't walk in fear. I use wisdom, and I put my mask on just like everybody else. But I never let COVID stop me from doing the things of God, because I believe that I'm sent and I'm covered.
Yeah.
So that's another sign of like spiritual warfare, because they come in the form of people. That's what people don't understand. They don't just come in situations. No. They come in the form of people. That's why you got to test the spirit by the spirit. She sounded like she walked like God. She kind of talked like it. But as I was discerning her spirit, I was like, we're not cut from the same cloth. And I don't have anything else to say. Kurt was laughing because he's never seen me like that. And I'm like, I don't entertain that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying God bless you, because I'm not blessing that. So yeah, I just walk away. So you see what I'm saying? So that's that warfare. Like, he said, boy, I know she was getting ready to get slapped with. I said she was getting ready to get rebuked. I bind it up in the name of Jesus. We don't receive none of that. Because I don't entertain all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But can you imagine somebody doing that? I've done it before, and it'll shut them all the way down because they're not even expecting it. I had a woman say, well, God bless you. I said, I don't bless that no more. I walked away. Because I'm not going to bless that. You know what I mean? Because that's not of God. You come in the form. That's why he said that the devil comes in the form of what? Light. So it means he looks like it. He talks like it, but he's not it. But you got to discern it. And that comes through your prayer. Yeah. You know what I mean? All those are connected between the prayer and the spiritual warfare. You're battling, I promise you. And it's up to you whether you're going to lay down and stay down. I'm not that type of person.
Same.
If it comes knocking on my door, I'm ready and prepared. You knocked on the wrong door, because I can promise you, I don't play to lose.
Yeah. Why do you believe what you believe to be true? Like, if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, this is all just mumble jumble crap.
There's so many reasons, but I would say through all the experiences, there's been some experiences in my life that were so dark and so hard that I felt like my whole being was split in pieces. Only God put those pieces back together. And everybody was gone. You think you got all these friends and stuff. And when it comes down to it, and I don't want to put a lot of pressure on people, because I always say sometimes God will remove everybody out of your life so that you can get to see the bigger picture. But there are places I felt like I was dying in, literally in my mind, in my heart, in my life. I mean, no help. And it was just like, he was the only one. When I say the only one, I'm talking about the only one that picked me up and believed in me and breathed life back in me. Like, that's why I said he didn't ask me for anything, but I want to give him everything just because of what he's done for me. You know what I mean? It would be like, Philip, taking you out of, hell and bringing you in a place of heaven. Like, why would you not want to, be good to him? Why would you not want to do that? Why would you not?
That happened.
Yeah.
That happened. I mean, that's like a true story for me. Yeah. No, it's true.
But you're grateful, and you have a love for him that is probably unexplainable. Like, you can try to explain it in words.
Well, like how you said, when we're in pain, that's when we reach out the most to God. And I'm trying now that I'm not in so much pain like I was before, I'm still trying to thank him and pray for him. But a good example, the fact that you bring Philip up is, we're both single moms, and I was a single mom for a little bit. And I was in a very dark place at one point where I was busy with school and working and having a little baby. So I was just constantly going. But finally, when I graduated, I lived in a little dump. I was working at a job that I didn't really, I just had to work to make money. And it was just Kaylin and I. And I was in a dark place. I pushed everyone out. I pushed everyone away. And I went to work and came home. And went to work and came home. And I was so sad and in so much pain. And all I can do every day was just, Lord, just please get me out of this. Like, I'm so sorry that I sinned. I'm so sorry that I strayed away, because I did. When I went to college, I strayed. And then I was like in this dark place. And Philip was my friend at the time. And everyone's like, be with him, be with him. He's perfect for you. And I didn't feel that. I didn't feel he was the one for me. He was a great person, but he's not the one for me. And also because I was in a place of just darkness. Yeah. And I remember praying, I'm like, Lord, if this is the man that I'm supposed to be with, I need you to change my heart. I need you to change how I look at him, how I see him. I don't know why I'm crying. I get emotional because I tell this story and people are like, well, you didn't like him. How did you change? I'm like, only God, only him. He's the one that changed my spirit and my soul. Because I'm like, I can marry this guy and be, quote unquote, happy, but not like physically attracted to him or not, I'm like, I don't want that kind of marriage. I don't want it to be superficial. So I need my spirit and my soul to change so that when I look at him, I feel that passion for him. Yeah. And girl, it didn't happen overnight. It was like about 1.5 years of just being in misery. I knew him for 1.5 years, and I kept saying this prayer. And then he was saying the same prayer where he really wanted to be with me. But he's like, I just want her to be happy. And if it's not with me, I just want her to be happy with whoever she belongs with. And girl, my life has forever been changed. And so when people say that God doesn't exist, and I've had atheists say that I've been brainwashed and he doesn't exist and I'm this and I've had little conversations with people about that. And I'm like, he does. Only he got me out of that. And my life it's been forever changed because I had nothing left. Like you said, I only had God. I only had him. Yeah. And I think too, and you know what I think too, and I love you. I love you, so much, and I can relate to you in so many different ways. And, I think, with Philip, I think, God used him as the person, but it was the love within him, something that you lacked and that you needed. And I can relate to you. That's why when I look at you, we can talk for I get emotional. That story gets me so emotional because I didn't deserve it,
Girl, bye. You deserve it all that.
At the time, I didn't. Now I'm like, of course. But at the time, I'm like,
that's why I can tell. That's why I can relate to you because I understand, I truly do understand how you feel. And, a lot of times when we don't know our self-worth and we don't love ourselves enough, we sometimes can't even see how great somebody is and can be to us, or even receive something that great. And it's not, I don't even know if you can see it as great because you're in such a bad place in your life that even the greatest thing, you're like, oh, I don't have time. You know what I mean? Like my whole focus has always been Alexis, and y'all know that, just like, how y'all are. But I think that's one of the things that I love about, there's so many things, but one of the things that I love about you and, Philip is the love. Like even like I see y'all even connecting over the last couple of years in ways that
it's gone
are
stronger.
Just in a love, like really making your it's so weird because you think once you're married everything is just everything. It's not. You got to constantly work at it.
Because even after that sappy story, I'm like, we got married. I was like, well, this was a mistake. This is tough. This is not what I signed up for. Yeah.
But you know what? I think, with him, it's so amazing because from what I know from you all is I feel like he gives you a platform to find yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's very
true.
important. And he supports everything from my perspective that I've seen.
No,
He
it's
supports
true.
everything that you do.
It's very true.
And that says a lot. And like genuinely, like for real supports you, like in every way that he possibly can. And even if you say, you know, I want to do this today and then tomorrow you don't want to do it. Okay, well, I mean,
That
whatever
is so
it is.
true. That is so true. But honestly, we've worked individually. Our faith and our spiritual walk has gotten stronger because we're working on ourselves separately, and then together we're coming together and praying about certain things and coming together and talking. So when people say, wow, you guys have an awesome marriage, it's because we have God in our lives. He is the foundation for everything that we do, everything that we decide, any choices we make, any arguments. You know, like anytime we get in an argument, and some of our stuff is very just petty crap. But if something big comes up and we're at each other, you know, Philip always comes to me. He's like, you know, it's the enemy. I'm like, I know it's the enemy, but you got on my nerves anyways. You know, it's like, you know, that's the enemy coming in.
I'm what I need to say, and then we can go and pray.
I'm like, let me just process what happened, and then we can talk about the enemy later. But we know that, you know, and it might sound to some people that don't have that faith, it might sound like gibberish that we're talking here, but that is the only way I can even give you a reason as to why we have such a strong marriage is because of God, and we put him before anything. Yeah, before anything in our lives. It's our faith.
And you know, for you, you know, and mine is the same. Yours is just Philip.
Yeah.
So the same way you look at Philip is the same way I look at God. I mean, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have already made a decision that I don't care if it's me and him, and that's all that's coming out. And I never get married again. And I'm okay.
Are
with
you
that.
dating? Do you date?
No.
You don't date at all?
Girl, let me tell you something. My relationship with God it means so much to me that it would take a lot. It would take a lot for me to even consider it, because my life is really consumed with him, and there's purpose. Now I feel like I'm starting to walk in my purpose. So you would have to literally blend in with that. It would literally probably have to fall in my lap. There's no way
the man has to. Well, he has to walk your walk pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
And that's hard because, you know, and it's not that I expect him to be where I'm at. I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because I know it took me a long time to get here, but he would have to have the same heart. His heart would have to match mine, because my heart is, I'm all about God. I'm all about people. You have to be about people. Like, I love people. Giving, I mean, your walk, just, you would have to have a love. It is a love walk.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. They like God, but they pick him up like this and they put him down whenever they feel like it.
Yeah.
I don't. Actually, when I come home, like you talk to Philip, I talk to God. You know, what do you want to do today, Lord? Well, all right, we're going to go down here underneath the bridge. I'll call people. Now I got people down here that get involved with the stuff that I do because they watch me like live. And like my friend Kurt would say, it's crazy watching you and how God uses you in people's lives, and it just flows. But if you listen and you just go, and I can't even make this stuff up. If he tells me to go to Walmart and I'm going to meet I promise you it works out.
So you keep saying the Lord told me and he tells me and he speaks to me. So how is that? Like, people are probably, well, how come he doesn't talk to me? Like, what feeling do you get when you say that? Like, when you say he speaks to me? Okay,
so there's a couple of different ways. You know, for me, you know, Lord speaks to me through dreams. My dreams I've been dreaming since I was a kid in full color. I mean, a lot of dreams I record. Second, it's just, it's audible. I mean, I can hear it. It doesn't have a, you know, like Suzlynn. It doesn't have like that, but I can hear it, you know, in within me. And then it's like words. It's like words can come across your chest within you. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I just know, like, I could be sitting here, and then let's say the guy down there at the underneath the bridge, and I can just hear Lord begin to minister to me about going and, getting this bag of stuff and taking it down there, and he'll begin to speak through me. And you'll know it's him because it'll confirm in them. You'll know it's him because it'll confirm in them. That's prophetic.
Yeah.
You'll know it's him because it will confirm in them.
Yeah.
Even a person off the street. Now, they don't have to say, hey, you have the gift of this. Hey, you have the gift. That man knew when Kurt was standing right there, that man knew that he knew. He was like, something's different about you. He said, something's different. You definitely have a gift of discernment. You have a gift for reading people. You know what I mean? People call it reading people. I call it prophetic. You just, God allows me to go behind the curtains of your, closet, and I get to see things that he wants me to see.
Yeah.
And I pull them out, and I tell you, and you could say, well, that's not true, but I can tell you it is true, because nobody's going to say that, because it's always been true. Now, in my past, when I've been trained as he was training me, I was learning. I went through years of training. This didn't just happen overnight.
I was just going to ask you that. Is that something that you were born with?
No.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I learned, I remember when the Lord began to sharpen me prophetically, and he would have me to do, I would look at pictures, and he would say, what do you see? And then I would begin to write down, okay, I see children. I see 4. I see road. And then he would say, all right, I'm going to have you I'm going to get somebody on the prophetic line, and I'm going to have them get on, and you're going to tell me what you hear. And then I'll say, okay, I hear that she says she's a prophetess. I feel like she's not a prophetess. And then I'll hear like she doesn't have the gift of prophecy, but she tells other people she does. And then there's people he'll send me to, and then I'll say it, and I'll say, the Lord, told me that, I see children, 4 road, targeted. What does that mean to you? I went through like seasons of that. Now I don't even need this anymore. Now it's free flowing, because it's been years, probably over 10 years. So now I can go and show up at your house and say, hey, the Lord told me that I know y'all have some financial issues. He said that it's about $10,000, and he's going to do this, this, and this. And that job, I believe you work, it looks like you work in dental. The Lord said that, he's getting ready to change some things, and you're getting ready to start walking in your purpose. And I see a woman, you have a wife. It looks like y'all are married, because I see a ring. And that's how it goes. Like, and they'll say, it blows people's mind. They're like, how does she know this? It's only him. But I'm confident in what I tell them, because it's like you and Philip. If you've experienced Philip in situations and he has pulled you through, you will be like, if he tells me something, I believe it. If the Lord tells me something, I never go, well, I think what I'm hearing.
You just follow. No. You follow what he's telling you.
I say it straight out. And and then there's times where he gets very specific on certain things. But whatever he tells me to, I can't just come on and just say, hey, this is what there might be times where, when he wants to speak, he speaks. If he doesn't, I can be with somebody for 6 months and God never give me a word for them. You know what I mean? But it's the prayer. It's the experience of, being with him, throughout my life, throughout my day. He's my everything. It's like me putting this on. He's a part of this. He's a part of the fabric. He's a part of the color. So, I'm in a relationship with him. So for me, you're talking about, this took years. It didn't happen overnight, but it doesn't, God can do a quick work. It's a matter of the heart. That's I had true. Some resistance and, going forward. I was trying to pray and still do my thing. You can't do your thing and try to do his thing too. It just don't work. You're going to make a decision. Yeah. So, and then I got to a place where I wanted to learn. It's like you wanting to learn Philip. I wanted to learn what these tools that were available to us as believers. When we talk about spiritual warfare, like, what does that mean? Like, what I sent you today, I thought this was kind of cool, and how Priscilla had broke this down. She was talking about how.
This is the author Priscilla Shirer.
Priscilla Shirer. She said, when we refuse to pray, it's like having a refrigerator without plugging it in. It's
not going to run.
It'll never run. So you can sit back. A lot of times people say, I'm waiting on God. You're never waiting on God, because if you believe his word, he said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. He's waiting on you. You're not waiting on him. He's right here. You're thinking, people look up, but you got to look in, because it's a spiritual thing. People are looking for the natural, and that's what religion does. They look for him in the natural, but you got to know it's a spiritual thing. So everything that you have, it has to be to the point where the enemy can't really take it. So in order to find it, you got to go within. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what prayer is. Prayer teaches, it's a thing within you that you have to find, through your walk with God. And that's through like really saying, Lord, I want to know who you are. Like what's available to me, as I'm walking with you. And as I'm learning prayer, I had to learn that. But it's not one of those, I'm not one of those people that say, Lord, thou shalt. No, I'm very genuine.
How you're talking to me now. That's how I am too.
Because there's been times where I tell Lord, I ain't really feeling you tonight. I ain't really feeling what you're trying to ask me to do. I don't really want to do that. I really don't. But I'm going to go to sleep on this and I'll talk to you in the morning. By morning time, my heart's changed. And I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm ready. Okay, I was thinking about it. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because see, God's already ministered to me while I was asleep.
Yeah.
But I'm 100 with him. I always say, if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you, I really ain't feeling that. I don't really want to do that, Lord. And he's okay.
And the same, I think, in my experience, can be also with the negative, because when I was in my darker place in my early 20s, I mean, there were times where I'm like a little kid, like a little toddler just throwing a tantrum. Like, I'm just so upset with you and I don't believe in you. And what was I thinking all these years? And I'm just going to do my thing. And doing my thing, I had to suffer consequences because I was not doing the best things. I was drinking a lot. I mean, there have been times where I could have gotten DUIs. That's how bad it was.
Me too.
Like someone was watching over me because I could have hurt people. I could have hurt myself easily. I've put myself in situations with guys that could have turned out to be, not that, that I was like sleeping around. That was actually the opposite. I wasn't. But I could have been taken advantage of just by putting myself in that situation with, that someone could have done that. So many things that I did, and he was always looking out. I don't know why, but I guess he didn't believe me when I threw my little tantrum, like, whatever. She just plays. She don't know what she's talking about.
And you know what? And
let's just let her get through all this shenanigans and she'll come back.
She'll be back. Because you know what? Because it's the light within you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people don't understand is, when people say, and I don't like this saying, I don't know why people say this, God don't speak to the sinner.
That's
Girl,
not true.
Where?
Yeah, that's not true.
Last time I remember, you wouldn't even be saved if he didn't speak to the sinner.
Yeah, we're all sinners. What I mean? Like,
how does that even register in your brain that he doesn't speak to a sinner? And I can relate to you because even like what you're talking about, there's been many times, and I don't drink anymore, but many times that's probably been almost 15 years ago.
I mean, I still drink. I just don't, do all. I don't black out, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't drink to like pass out like I used to.
Exactly. But like you don't drink and get up and you don't realize that you actually might be an alcoholic, but she's like, no, I actually just do this when I go out. Actually, it depends on the definition and the person who's saying it.
Yeah.
Trust me, God has saved me. I have come out of a parking lot. This is no lie. That's why I tell people I'm not exempt. Don't think that my life is perfect. God has really spared me. That's why I say that I lend my hand. I'm very forgiving and I'm very understanding because I understand I've been many people in my life. I've just overcome them.
Exactly.
But there's been times I've come out of a parking lot knowing I shouldn't be drinking. And if I would have got pulled over, trust to know I would have got a DUI. And luckily nothing ever happened to me. But I have come out of a parking lot with somebody who came from the same place. They went into the right and I went to the left and she got pulled over as soon as she pulled out that parking garage and got a DUI and I drove 45 minutes home.
Wow. Yeah.
And you think so when you talk about my love and why I am the way I am with God, it's stuff like that. Like it's
a lot of little examples. Yeah. And sometimes, and I've learned because I feel like before I would have to justify and explain myself why I have this faith. And I think in the past 5 years, I'm just like, I don't have to prove myself to you. Good luck with you and your
belief or whatever.
Whatever you feel like you believe, good luck with that. And if it's working for you, then it's working for you. But most times it's not working for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I see it. I see it in how you live your life. It's not working for you. So I don't explain myself anymore. And even to people that are quote unquote religious, I don't have to explain myself to you either. Like, I don't explain myself anymore. I'm living my life. I'm living my truth. You go do you, and everyone has their walk. And that's just the way it is.
And I probably get, it's interesting that you say that, because I probably get, if there was a pushback, it would be on religion, because I have a different understanding. And I'm okay with that. But one thing I've learned is to laugh a lot and to actually not.
You're like
take
my
it so
dad.
personal.
My dad was like that.
Yeah.
We went to church, and then he kind of, straight away, like, yeah, that's the whole religious thing is not my thing. He was very, very spiritual. Before he passed, he was just like, yeah, religion and the church and the people and the fakeness and the hypocrisy and all of that. He's like, that's not for me.
It's too much.
And I'm getting it now.
Him. I wanted him.
Yeah.
So when I can't see him, when I don't see him in certain places where I feel that society has told me he is there. When I see the sheep getting fat and the shepherd getting fat and the sheep starving, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I have a problem with a lot of things when it comes down to certain things. When I think of the character of who God is to me, who Jesus is to me. So it's all in how you view him. I mean, it'd be like you. I mean, I know you, and I know you would never have to tell me certain things. If somebody told me something, I'd be, that's not true. I don't even try to debate it. I'm like, that's not true. I don't know what kind of experience you've had with her, but my experience tells me that is not true. And I don't even entertain it no more. I don't even sit and listen to it. I'm like, I'm not even going to listen to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really, I think what a lot of people don't understand, with this walk and with prayer is that really it's a choice. I'm okay if you don't choose. I just tell you I tell you how I do things. I tell you what my life is like, but I chose God just like he chose me. It's free will. I don't have to walk this walk. Yeah. I actually can walk at any given time. I've seen what it's like not to walk with him. Yeah. I don't know how people do it without him. Exactly. I don't want to do it without him. Yeah. That's how much he means to me. I love him so much, and I'm so appreciative for what he's done for me and my daughter and continues to do. That now he's so many things to me. He's not just somebody that, I want to answer my prayer. He's my friend. He's my father. I look at him as a father now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a companion. He's so many things to me in one being. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I need somebody to talk to as a friend, I can talk to him without judgment. When I say, hey, I'm really, dealing with, some situations, and, do you think, it's time to talk about it? And he may say, well, let's just heal in that area just a little bit more. And then maybe, at a later time, we'll talk about it. You see what I mean? So I talk to him. It sounds crazy, but that's how I talk to God. Yeah. And that my time is, where other people take their time and they spend it with their family. And I spend a lot of time with my daughter too. I actually have to recharge with God, and he's the only person that can recharge me. I can't explain it. A person can't recharge me. I literally have to separate myself and be recharged with him, meaning I just have to be quiet sometimes. I just need to be quiet in my own space, and in my own mind, so I can just clean the canvas of my mind so that I can hear the things that I need to hear, because I would never be able to speak to you or speak to anybody else without having a clear mind. And that means I have to, live my life a certain kind of way. Not that I'm perfect, but, I try my best to make the changes that I feel God is asking of me. Now, out of love, it's not a demand. It's a love thing for me now. Now it's like, man, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a light. I want to be a vessel that really people can really see that he actually really cares about you all. Yeah, exactly. More than what you even think. Like, you don't even have to believe that, have the title Christian. Let's just take Christian out of the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you believe? How do you, I really don't understand how you don't have a belief in something. You know what I mean? Mine happens, to be Jesus, but to just not believe, that has to be a very hard path to go in. That has to be dark, very dark and negative. Yeah. I mean, just a lost path.
And you can act like you don't need it and that, oh, I'm fine without it, but you really aren't. We all know, come on now. Like, there's no way that you're going to bed at night thinking that you're fulfilled. There's no way. No. And I know I know a person from experience who, the one that I debated with, I mean, she's not in my life anymore, but she just didn't understand. But she was always searching for something. She's like, I don't want to believe in God, but I'm going to read this book on Buddha, or, like, I don't want to believe in this, but I'm going to. So it's like you're searching for something.
You're searching for the truth.
Exactly. And you can shut it down and say your religion's, or what you believe. I'm like, I don't really have a religion. When people are like, oh, your denomination. And, we happen to go to a Baptist church, but I don't feel like I'm Baptist. I just believe in God. I believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to know all the details of where did he come from and how did, I don't need to know the details. No. That's not for me to know. And I don't sit around thinking about those things. Where did God come from? And it's just like, I don't have to know that. At all.
And it really is a feeling.
Exactly.
You can, chime in on this, but for me, it really is a feeling. Like, I can't explain it. It's a feeling within me that not a man, a woman, a child has ever given me. I can't explain it because it's a feeling that you would have to experience him to understand. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's not a religion. It's just a relationship. I'm in a relationship with Jesus. I mean, he picked me. He was available. Yeah. This is why I tell people, it's like having all these different, because this is what it is. It's like going into a retail store and you got all these different products made by different people. You got different truths. I chose him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might choose Buddha. That's on you. Yeah. But I know, when I call on something, it's amazing how people can go so many different truths. But when they get hurt, it's funny how God has breathed on the inside of them. Mm-hmm. I don't care God, it's going to be, because he's already there. Yeah. It's already been written on you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So for me, prayer is everything, because it's my communication with him. You can talk, even through your talk, it's like prayer. I pray for you and Philip a lot. I mean, I could be saying, something, as simple as, Lord, I thank you that, you're opening up the doors for, Philip and Lynette to walk in their purpose. And, I pray that you, continue to surround them with people who allow them to be their raw, authentic self, and that people won't come in and, take away what you've purposed them to do. People can have a way of putting their opinion on what you should and shouldn't
definitely.
do. No,
all the
you
time.
stick to the plan of what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why I said, and that's where when we talk about how God speaks to us, where that's the same thing as you say, well, I feel it's no different. You're saying, well, I feel the Lord wants me to be raw and authentic. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because you've heard it somewhere within you that says, I think you need to be around people who can be honest, who can be raw, who can give it to you, uncut, unedited.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because people are like, now that I'm doing the podcast, well, you need to listen to this podcast and you need to listen to that podcast and you need, so you can, and I'm like, listen, that's great. And I do listen to podcasts, but I want to be my own person. I don't want to copy anybody else. And he's already spoken to me. Like, I feel it in my soul. To the point where this has become so natural to me. Like, I'm so kind of scared and fearful of, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to, with anything? And I don't start things normally because I am fearful. I'm just going to stay in my little bubble and be content and, live within my little four walls. But with this, it was just like, I'm doing it and I did it and I figured it out. And here we are talking and I, but people are trying to give me input on how it should be because of what other people are doing, successful people are doing. Well, first of all, they've been doing it a lot longer than me. I've only been doing it for 2 months. And I already know what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm supposed to be talking about and who my target audience is. Their target audience is not my target audience. So what's working for him is not working for me because I'm targeting women. Men are listening. I do know that, but it's women's voices, women's stories. Eventually, I'm going to have guys on. But that's what I'm doing at this moment, And so I can't compare myself to Schmo Joe over here and their podcast and their, millions of listeners. Well, first of all, they're famous to begin with. So that's why they have millions. And I'm like Leonette from Peachtree Corners, Georgia, like what the hell? Like, what are we comparing? So voices, people want to come in and and I'm strong enough now. Because before, girl, like if I would have done this a few years ago, I would have allowed that to So I'm not saying that I've always been this way. I would have allowed those voices to stop me from doing it. Well, whatever, I'm not doing it. And like you said, when you pray and he's telling you this is where you should be and this is what you should be doing, it doesn't matter what other people are telling you.
Yeah. But
like, and I say thank you for your input.
Yeah.
I'll keep it in mind. And if it, exactly. And if that's what he wants me to do later, then that's what we'll do. But right now, that's not what I'm being led to do or say or talk about or be like this person. I'm not.
No, and he doesn't want you to. You have your own lane and your own identity.
Yeah.
And that's a prime example of what we talk about with spiritual warfare is, Lord, I thank you that the seeds that other people opinions that don't matter don't bury in my mind and grow. I bind those up in the name of Jesus. I thank you, Father, that you put a hedge of protection over my mind, over my heart, and over my thoughts. That I thank you that I'm only led by you. We bind up the enemy from, coming in as any distraction or trying to sway or take the people out that I'm supposed to talk to. We thank you, Father, that you'll, keep them prepared for their purpose and continue to groom them so that when we come in contact, that we're able to connect in a way, in a God-grant kind of way. And then it's just taking authority over your household. It's just making sure that, the tools that God has given you in the word, if you really believe that, like pray over. I pray over my daughter, Lord. I thank you that, you'll allow her to, make the necessary, mistakes because she does have to learn whatever mistakes, but I pray that you protect her from any hurt, harm, disease, sickness.
Yeah. But they learn from that mistake
impact
too.
her in a way that would be deadly. You know what
exactly.
I mean? But there are certain things that she has to learn, just like we do. Lord, help me to grow. Don't let people that look like they walk like you, talk like you, act like you, come into my life and try to sway me off of what I've been called to do. That's called spiritual warfare.
Yep.
I mean, we've experienced it already on here just by trying to even talk about this and things are going wrong. Stuff is
the recording and my Zoom was about to fall down. I'm like, and this has not happened at all on any other shows that I've done. But when we're talking about God and spirituality, we've had like 2-3 things go wrong. And I cried. And I'm crying. So I'm just like, but okay, so let's talk about what's happening in our country. Because I feel that it is 100% warfare, spiritual warfare, what's going on in our country. And I don't have to list everything. We all know if we live in the USA, actually, if we live in this world, on this planet, everyone knows what's going on in America. What do you think about what's happening? And how, like, are you fearful? Is there like turmoil? Because I don't feel any turmoil within me about what's going on around us. I feel like this all needed to happen in order for change to happen. Like this is happening for a reason. And I know I might sound like, stupid saying that, but this had to happen. All these things, the politics, for people to open their freaking eyes and realize what the hell we're doing to each other and to this planet. And so what do you think?
And to people, I think I agree. I mean, I believe that this happened on purpose. Fearful? No.
Yeah, I'm not.
That, that ain't happening. If anything, I'm actually, it is the weirdest thing because I've had people call me and say, how are you doing? I'm like, actually, I'm doing really good. Actually, I actually have felt the best probably now. This has probably been the best I've felt because I feel like God is giving people time. And it's like, I still believe judgment and deliverance is happening at the same time right now. I think, you have the opportunity to make some changes. God is giving you the grace to make it. I just believe that God is giving people time. I mean, I think that, he's dealing with a lot of people. I think people are being moved out of positions for God's people to be put in positions. I believe God is preparing people to be put in positions that are part of their purpose. I mean, I think it's bigger than just what we see. And I think definitely. that's why he's removing a lot of, religion out of certain things because God doesn't compete for nobody, and he'll put his people in these certain places. COVID is just an eye opener. I mean, I believe it's an opportunity to find him. I believe it's an opportunity to believe in him. And it's an opportunity to come close to him because the government is only, let me tell you, when the government fails, the question is, what do you have to fall back on? I know I don't depend on none of that. I believe without a shadow of doubt, God's going to provide.
Yep.
And I'm willing to share it. See, I'm not fearful in taking what I have to me, my neighbor is the man that's underneath, not my next door neighbor. My neighbor is underneath the bridge. That's what I call my neighbor. I will take my food and take it down there. They don't even have masks. So if I was scared, I wouldn't even go down there. You know what people say? Well, you should be. I'm like, girl, no, I'm led. I'm not scared. I promise you, I would not get COVID. You know what that man said? He said, nobody down here has had COVID. I believe him.
Yeah.
Because don't think for 1 second these people who are under these bridges and homeless don't have a relationship with God. Please don't think that, because that's not true. That's not for everybody. And that you'd be wrong to judge that, because that's not true. Trust me, in my darkest places, I love God. I just didn't know how to get out of these places. And I wanted to. I was broken. I was hurt. I was devastated. But that's where, I found him through places like that. But this COVID thing is just, I think.
And not just the COVID. How about all this hate that we're seeing? All the hate that is just.
The racism. I feel like they're amplifying it for people not to be able to help each other. Because it's a separation. What is race? A race is separation. When you start having all this hate with the capital thing, crazy, the racism, crazy, because love isn't involved in none of that. That ain't never a part of love. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to me that people, when you think of COVID, I think of another chance. That's how I look at it. I think of, you have another chance to get it right. You have another chance to change things. If you come out of this the same, shame on you.
That's so true.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I look at things from a whole different perspective. It's made me clean out my closet with the people that I even entertain. I don't even care if it's on a text message. If it's not really growing me or it's a part of me, there's no need for this. You know what I mean? You'll start finding out who your true friends and true family are through stuff like this.
Yeah.
You'll understand where your help comes from. I try not to focus a lot of energy on negative stuff, because I think during this time, if you did, you'll be sick. You'll be sick.
Oh my
because
gosh,
negative stuff, it stresses you and it makes you sick.
It does. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I try my best to keep my mind, just really clear, and try to stay positive, and just really ask God, what do you want me to do? Like, you'll understand your purpose, because, when you talk about prayer and meeting people and doing different things, you'll realize, like yesterday, I was on the phone and I was making an appointment for my friend. And this woman was on the phone. Let me show you how, and this all connects to prayer and having a relationship with God. And I began to talk to this girl, and all of a sudden the Lord started speaking to me about her. And I said, I just want to let you know, Legacy, y'all have been such a blessing to us during COVID. A lot of us have experienced some hardships and some different things, people being laid off. Legacy is amazing. And I said, y'all are so kind across the border. It's so crazy. And I said, I just want you to know, I said, God truly wants you to know he's taking care of your family as you're taking care of his family. I said, please don't ever take for granted or think for 1 second that God is not with you. Long story short, I began to minister to her. My friend was sitting there listening. She almost cried. She was like, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. And this is a woman on the phone.
Wow.
I believe I literally only called to speak with her. And I was I was actually supposed to call earlier, and you have to you don't know who you're going to get. You might sit on there for 30 minutes. And she came on, and I was just, by the time we got off, it was actually unbelievable. Even my friend was like, that's crazy how God does. I said, man, the timing of things, I told her, never take for granted the timing of things, just like this. This is a timed thing.
Yeah.
I believe God's hand is all on this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything that's happening, it's on it. And we're on pause right now. We can't do nothing. The whole world is on pause. You are not going to be going to do hardly anything. And if you are, you're only doing it at a certain capacity. You can only do so much. And if somebody gets tested positive, it shuts down everything again. We're back in a hamster routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, if you don't find who you are, if you don't find your purpose, if you don't find, find yourself and fix some of the places, that you need to be healed in. There's so many things that you can get out of this. I don't focus in on COVID. I don't. I mean, COVID's here. I know it's here. I pray that, I always pray, a hedge of protection over my house, over my family, over my friends, that it won't come nigh our dwelling, that we can walk out and we can minister without being in fear, because you cannot do those things and be in fear. And I just go as my regular day. I do the things I've always done. I've always been a big hand washer. I've always made sure, I'm aware of things, but I never do. I try my best to never, ever think of fear when I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Fear can come though. Don't think that I don't experience fear, but I don't stay in fear.
Yeah. You don't dwell in it.
Never. No. But that COVID, what you're talking about with COVID has, I think in some households, has paralyzed people. They're scared.
Oh, for sure.
But you know what? I think those are people who, like, for me, I want to get something out of COVID. You know what I mean? There's a lot I want to get out of this. I want to gain out of this, that I want to do out of this. Like, for me, I'm always, God driven. Like, I'm always like, man, I want them to see God. Like, I want them to see the God in me, and that's why I tell people, many people passed Jesus like pages in a book, just like they did back then. But there were many that knew exactly when he showed up. And I always tell people, don't mistake, just because when I show up, you just got to recognize the God within me, because it's him. You know what I mean? A lot of times people don't know, but the people who do know, they know God sent you. I know God sent you. And they'll say that. I know God sent you, because there's no way you could have came down here and known that. Like, that blows my mind. And I call those wow moments. God has a last name in my book. It's God/wow, because he's always wow me.
Yeah.
I love that, because they get to actually see it's not me. I want them to see that God will actually really show up. I promise you, when you believe he can, you'll see he will. He will show up. And I think that's probably one of my greatest things, more now than ever. Like, I want people to see that he will show up. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
In a mighty way. We are in a battle. We are in a war. And it is a battle of your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotions. And the enemy's coming after you, because you got so much time now that he can play on your mind. He can play all these tricks. And if you're not using your Bible to understand what your weapons are, and using prayer, to come against those things, and understanding that you do have, power in prayer, and believe what you pray for, then you're going to fall to the tricks of the enemy. And this will come out to be a bad outcome for you, versus us coming out and thriving, not surviving, but thriving. But people, as they help one another, I promise you, will come out on top. It's not going to be the government. It's going to be the people.
Exactly.
Like it always has been.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, for me, I think with the spiritual warfare, it's just learning the tools, prayer being your biggest thing. It's like Priscilla said, you got to plug in. If you're not plugged in, you're not going to have no power. You know what I mean? You got to believe that when you plug that in, that light's going to come on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you're controlling how you see the world. When there's all this stuff around you just going wrong and going horribly sideways, there's going to be a peace within you knowing that God has this. I feel like I'm so at peace with myself, and even with all this chaos in our world. I know it's for the better. It's for the better. It really is.
Yeah. And I think too, you got to think, the one who holds time, because he's not in time. He created time for man. So when he can put a pause on time, you need to pay attention. Yep. There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? So for me, COVID doesn't have to be a bad thing.
For me and my family, this has been time to reflect. It's changed. So much has changed in our lives professionally, and, me doing this. Yeah, I'm not getting paid to do this, but this has been such a huge platform for me and for other women. For Philip and our practice, a lot has changed there too, for the better for us. So it's been 2020. What will always be not just, oh my gosh, all these horrible things happened, but for me and my family, it was a turnaround. It's been, something has flipped for our family in 2020. And I'm always going to look at it as the year where our lives changed for the better, for sure.
Yeah. And, too, because when you say that, I keep hearing, as we're talking about this spiritual warfare, I keep hearing, don't wait until something happens before you start praying about it. You bind it up before it even happens. That's how you stay prepared. You know what I mean? If a military goes on the battlefield, They don't wait till, they're saying, all right, you ready to go? No, they have been preparing the whole time. That's why the enemy can't just come into your household, just anytime. You realize that when you normally start praying, think about this. When you normally pray, you pray whenever it happens. You're like,
That's
oh my
true.
God,
Yeah.
are you serious? Like, this is what we dealing with?
Yeah.
But think about it. If you do it before, and start saying, Lord, I thank you that nothing comes against my marriage, my family, my friends, my podcast. This all belongs to you. I lay it at your feet. I believe that, it's covered in the blood. I thank you that you're in charge of this. Nothing's going to happen. You expect it not to. When you talk about prayer and spiritual warfare, most people that are even believers are talking about what? Spiritual what?
That's so true.
They don't even know what you're talking about.
That is so true.
Well, they want to hear a happy message. They want to hear how beautiful God is. Yes, he's amazing. But let me tell you, there's battles too. So you can either you stand up and fight it in faith, or you can lay down and take it. But I refuse to lay down. It's just a lot of times, and that's where we talked about the religion. A lot of times when you're going and it's just, we're going to hear a little word and go home. They never talk about anything that happens bad, but it does happen.
Yep.
We got to stop pretending like as believers that we don't, things don't happen to us. Actually, they probably happen a lot more than what you even think. Matter of fact, I feel like I have gone through more walking with God than without him.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Because you got to understand, I'm a threat to the enemy.
Yep.
Now I'm a threat to the devil. I wasn't a threat to him before because I was partying with him. I was drinking with him.
Yep.
I was doing all the things that
we're having fun. We're having fun. We have a good time. Yeah.
We were having a good time, but I didn't have to pray about what I had to pray about. A lot of people really don't know. And, and that may be something, to talk about as a believer. What does that consist of? Okay, well, does it consist of going to church? Does it consist of, because most people don't know if all they know is church, they do not know how to connect with God outside of church.
That is very true.
And they
like if I don't go, I haven't connected. Oh my gosh, we haven't gone to church in forever. I'm not connected. I go for fellowship with people. And the reason we started plugging in is because I wanted to be around people that believe what I believe. But I don't need it. I don't need it to have a relationship with God. I do not go there because I feel like I have to go.
Yeah.
Not at all. And we haven't gone in over a year. So, and I'm doing great. And I still have, I'm still walking with him and reading my Bible, and we can watch, stuff on TV and on YouTube, and we have, but it's not a need. It's not this, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. And,
or you backslid or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Not at all.
Because that religion likes to put that on you, that you backslid if you don't go to church.
100%, yeah.
But you know what I try to explain to people on that level is God, it's like me and you. I can take a friendship anywhere. I don't have to be stuck in four walls. I can talk to you through here. I can go down to the gym. I can talk to you. Who made this rule that he has to be in four walls? Because I can't imagine someone like God being so powerful, being stuck in four walls. I'm sorry, it just don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So that means I could take him anywhere. I can take him in my car, which you'll see me talk. I can take him when I go on a flight. I can take him when I go to sleep. I can take him in the shower because I have a relationship with him. I'm not bound. Spirit is not bound by walls. Only flesh. Flesh is bound by walls. Spirit can go anywhere. Yeah. So if you really believe that, it's a spiritual thing, you're not bound by walls. But that comes with understanding, because a lot of people don't understand. And I get it. I'm not there to judge you. I'm just here to share how I came out from, beyond, four walls and got the understanding of what my true relationship was and what I needed in order, because I'm a free spirit. I need to be able to flow. And I felt bound a lot in religion. I felt in a box. If that's your thing, hey, praise the Lord. I'm just saying, I'm out of the box thinker. I'm an out of box person. I would never, if you put me in a box, I'd be like this, just shaking. Y'all be like, let her out the box.
Please let her out.
Let her out.
She's gonna die in that box.
But that's a prime example of what that really looks like. I'm not in a box and he's not either. So I have to be out of the box. I have to be free. I have to be a free spirit flowing, because it just doesn't work for me. I feel confined, and I don't like to feel confined. I like to feel like I can flow, and I'm okay with that. I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't really understand. I think the reason why a lot of people don't find God, first you have to seek, but a lot of people don't understand the walk. And I think that's maybe something that maybe we need to talk about one day on podcast about prayer, your walk. Like, what does that look like?
Because they're looking at the quote unquote, the religious people. Well, I don't want to be like them because a lot of them are hypocrites. Oh, and you can't do this and you can't do that and all these rules and all these things. And it's like, I don't want to be a part of that either. Like if I didn't have my faith and if I didn't have my own personal walk, I'd be like, I don't want to be a part of that group. Mm-mm. I don't want to be a part of those people.
And you know what turned me off the most? And that's why I can speak so much from it. You know what I hear the first time I think about going to church and, wanting to change my life is I can't. When you say I can't, oh my God. Mm-hmm. I already know that I'm not going to be able to do this and I'm not going to be able to do, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do
I feel
this.
I feel like a rebel. I'm like, nah, I can't. I don't do rules well. I don't do it well. But I am doing that.
You mean you want me to quit drinking like right away?
Like right now, like today? I can't do that.
No, so if I curse, and what is he still gonna love me?
Or how some religions are like, women can only wear dresses and skirts and no pants and no shirt. I'm like, I sweat in the summer. I need the spaghetti straps. I need the shorts.
All that.
I'm like, I'm not wearing all that long sleeve. I'm not doing that crap. Are you kidding me? No, next. I am not doing that.
But you see what I'm saying? They lack the understanding because love accepts you as you are. Mm-hmm. I mean, man made those rules up. And that's how I look at religion is man-made. Yep. You ask me that, religion is man-made. Spiritual, that's on a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. Pentecostal, if you come in there, and I remember I came in one time and I had on pants. That is not a good look. No. Did they look at you like you were an alien? Girl, the whole church turned around and looked at me. I thought my whole face turned white. Hey, this is just who I am. Mm-hmm. And the girl was like, oh, don't worry about it. Girl had on pants. Everybody else, it looked like, what is she doing here? Wow. But that's how I look at God. God doesn't care about, he can care less about your clothes. Mm-hmm. Man cares about that. God doesn't care about that. You know what I mean? That's why I don't get caught up in religion because it is man-made. It is made by man. It is done by man. It is created by man. Yep. That is my understanding.
I agree.
And that's what I believe. I've tested God because I'm like, man, I want to know if he's really who he says he is. Mm-hmm. Does he really, really care like he says? Because all this stuff, with religion, it's wrapped around money. I always say religion for a lot of people is big business for the non-called pastor. Mm-hmm. It's a business. Yeah. It's not a business for me. Yeah. It's a love walk. It's a journey. Like it's not even, I don't even want to know I don't even think it's a destination per se anymore because it really is a journey. It's a love walk with God and you're walking it every single day and you learn something new. I don't care how long you've been in a relationship with somebody. If you really spend time with them, you'll learn something new. You'll wake up and say, oh my God, I cannot believe I never noticed that. And then you're like, I'm with them every day. And I just now noticed this. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of people, I say that to say a lot of people don't take the time to find out really who God is and really understand what that looks like. And a lot of times, religion has misguided them. So they think they have to put on this, this outfit and they have to carry this Bible and they have to, you don't have
and they
to
have
know
to talk
everything.
like this and they have to act like this. Yeah.
I don't even know all the scriptures. I just know what I know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I can go back and, look it up for you, but there's people who know the Bible more than me, but there's certain things they don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And those are only things that God gives you. It's nowhere to be found. Yeah. That's an internal, that's a relationship type thing. You just gotta know you and you gotta know your relationship with God. And the more and more you come into a relationship with yourself and a relationship with God, you'll understand how to do these things. You'll understand how to pray and you'll understand about spiritual warfare. And then you'll start looking around your life and you're like, man, actually, the devil actually has been knocking me and my family out. When you get tired of getting hit a few times, you'll stand up and you'll figure out how to fight back. And your fight back is your prayer. Yep. I'm not going to lose. I know that. That's what I learned. I've learned how to fight back. Actually, spiritual warfare, like that's real. No, it's real. It's really real. You got a God and you got the devil. He's got a plan and he's got a plan too. And trust me, he's studying you. He knows if you ever pay attention to your life, he knows when to send something in. And he never comes with anything new. He always comes with the old. But he'll send the thing in that you're the weakest at, and at your most vulnerable times. And that's when he gets in. And it could be your closest friend. It could be your closest. Trust me when I say that.
Yeah.
It ain't from afar. It ain't no stranger danger.
Exactly.
No,
it's right in front of you.
Right in your circle.
Yeah.
People just look from afar. They think of the enemy. They think of the devil on the outside. Maybe if you start looking on the inside, your battle is probably not outside. Your battle is probably in your house.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, when I thought of this topic, I was like, a lot of us need it with everything that's going on. I said, Suzynn's the one to come on and discuss this. So I thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody just stay prayed up.
We will end with this quote. Kaylin Talley Harshaw shared it on my Facebook page, and it's by Alex L. When God has assigned greatness to your life, there will always be people who want to assign flaws to diminish your greatness. Be great anyway. Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago24_7 and on Facebook at Virago24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.